Have you ever wondered how we plant a sapling and then the plant automatically grows into big trees? We eat so many different foods in a day. How is our body digesting all the food we intake? Wonder what happens.
Welcome to Concepts to Grades. I'm Gayatri and I'm going to help you on your CBSE 10th board journey. In this series, we are going to cover all the science chapters of CBSE Class 10 as per the NCERT textbook.
There will be a new video every week, so subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, and let's turn your concepts to grades. In this video, we will be doing the CBSE Class 10th Science Chapter 5 Life Processes. Here, we'll be covering the nutrition section of this chapter in just 20 minutes. We will start this video with what are life processes, move to nutrition with details about autotropic nutrition and heterotropic nutrition, and then cover nutrition in human beings in detail. Feel free to move across the section as per your requirements and stay till the end to answer an amazing quiz to see how well you have understood this section. Let us start with what are life processes. We see so many different organisms in our daily life like trees, fungi, animals, birds, human beings, bacteria, insects, and reptiles, and so much more. But when do we consider an organism as a living organism? How do we distinguish between a living and a dead organism? Let us try to answer that. So, when an organism performs basic life processes, which is essential for its living, it is considered to be a living organism. These processes help maintain life. These processes are nutrition, respiration, transportation, excretion. When an organism performs these processes, we consider it to be a living organism. Now, let us look at each of these life processes one by one, starting with nutrition. What is nutrition? Nutrition is the process of transfer of materials which provide energy from outside of the body to the inside of the body. Now, there are two kinds of nutrition. One, autotrophic nutrition, where organisms make their own food with inorganic raw materials. Green plants and some bacteria are examples of this nutrition. Here, they are independent of other organisms for their nutrition. Heterotrophic nutrition. Here, the organisms depend on other organisms for their nutrition. For example, animals, birds, human beings, etc. Here, the organism is completely dependent either on autotrophs or other organisms for their nutrition. Let us understand autotropic nutrition a little closer. Photosynthesis is the process by which autotrophs fulfill their carbon and energy requirements. So, to perform autotrophic nutrition, plants perform a process called photosynthesis. Now, let us understand what happens in photosynthesis. Well, the word photo means light and synthesis means making. So, we are using light to make something here. So, here plants take inorganic raw materials, carbon dioxide, water, and convert them into glucose and oxygen. This happens in the presence of sunlight using chlorophyll. Now, this looks like a little tough thing to understand like this. Let us write this in the form of an equation to be able to understand this better. Let us start with what are the reactants in this case. We have carbon dioxide and water. Now, in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, this converts into glucose, oxygen, and water. So, if I write a simple equation for this, it would look something like CO2 plus H2O in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll gives rise to glucose, which is C6H12O6 plus oxygen plus water. This balanced equation of photosynthesis is the important concept of photosynthesis and it is asked multiple times. So please try to understand this equation so that you don't have to blindly memorize it. Let us understand how plants are able to convert carbon dioxide and water to carbohydrates or glucose. Let us learn this through the steps of photosynthesis. So, the first step of photosynthesis is absorption of sunlight by chlorophyll. We already saw that under the presence of sunlight itself, the carbon dioxide is converted to glucose. So to absorb this sunlight, plants have a green pigment called chlorophyll, which absorbs the sunlight. So step 2 is conversion of this light energy into chemical energy so that it can help us in converting carbon dioxide. The second stage is splitting of water into hydrogen and oxygen molecules. Once we have done that, we let the hydrogen react with the carbon dioxide, or what we call as the third step, reduction of carbon dioxide into carbohydrates. Now let us understand how sunlight absorption takes place, since it's the first and the essential step of photosynthesis. So plants absorb sunlight using the green pigment in their leaves called chlorophyll. It is present in disc-like cells called chloroplast, which is present in the upper layer of the leaf. So when you take the cross section of the leaf, the upper layer of the leaf have disc-like cells called chloroplast, which contain chlorophyll in them. This green pigment helps in absorption of sunlight. Now, how do plants take in carbon dioxide and release oxygen? So for exchange of gases, the lower layer of the leaf have small pores called stomata. They control the inlet and outlet of carbon dioxide, water vapor, and oxygen. Now let us look at this stomata a bit close. So when you zoom in and look at stomata under the microscope, it looks something like this. Here you see a stomatal pore covered by two guard cells. Now these guard cells determine the opening and closing of the stomata. How are they able to decide that? Well, the water content in the guard cells determines the opening and closing of stomata. So when the guard cells shrink, the stomatal pore closes. And when the guard cells swell with water, the stomatal pore opens. This helps in exchange of gases for all the terrestrial plants that we see. This completes autotropic nutrition in plants. Let us move to heterotrophic nutrition. Heterotrophic nutrition differs in different organisms based on the level of the organism. Like human beings take whole material food inside their body and then break it down. Whereas some organisms like yeast, mushrooms, bread molds, etc., break down the food material outside and then absorb it in their body. Some organisms like cuscuta, ticks, tapeworm, and lice derive nutrition from another organism without killing it, and this is called parasitic nutrition. Let us see how organisms obtain their nutrition when they are unicellular. Here we have a video of an amoeba trying to gather food. So if you look closely, the cell surface of an amoeba forms a finger-like structure called pseudopodia. Now these structures trap and fuse the food to form a food vacuole. Now this complex substances are broken down into simpler ones and then absorbed into the cytoplasm inside the food vacuole. And the remaining unabsorbed substance are moved to the surface of the cell for excretion. This is how an amoeba tries to absorb its nutrition. Now, in the case of a Paramecium, which is a malarial parasite, there is a specific spot where digestion occurs. So, all the food is moved to that spot by finger-like structure present through the body called cilia. So, you see the cilia moves and moves the food along such that it reaches that spot where digestion can occur. Let us try taking a quiz on the topics that we've learned today. You can write the answer in the comment section. What determines the opening and closing of stomata? The right answer would be water content in the guard cells. Second question. What happens to carbon dioxide during photosynthesis? Yes. The right answer is it is reduced to carbohydrates. Third, what are the finger-like projections called in amoeba and paramecium? Well, in amoeba they are called pseudopodia and in paramecium they are called cilia. Let us now look at nutrition in human beings. So we have a long alimentary canal which forms our human digestive system. Let us try to understand each of the parts of this system. We start first with mouth or buccal cavity. Then we have the esophagus or the food pipe, which goes down to the stomach. Along with that, we have the liver and gallbladder and pancreas. The stomach leads to small intestine and then to the large intestine and finally ends with the anus. Now, the process of digestion through each of these organs, where each organ performs a specific function, is something interesting. Let us try and understand what happens in each place. So let us start with the mouth or the buccal cavity. Here, the various kinds of different foods we eat enter our digestive system through the mouth. Here, the teeth help in crushing of the food into smaller particles. The saliva secreted by salivary glands wets the food. The enzyme in saliva, called salivary amylase, breaks down complex carbohydrates into simple sugars. Esophagus. Once the food is swallowed, it moves through the food pipe or the esophagus down to the stomach. The alimentary canal has rhythmic contractions called peristaltic movements which help in movement of food along the digestive system. From the esophagus, the food reaches a muscular bag-like structure called stomach. Now, the stomach lining releases acids and enzymes which help in digestion of food. Let us understand them closely. So, first it releases hydrochloric acid, which helps in creating an acidic medium for the enzyme to act. And the enzyme is pepsin, which helps in digestion of protein. And then we have mucus, which is help to protect the stomach lining from the hydrochloric acid. Now, the food from this stomach is sent to the small intestine in small amounts regulated by a sphincter. To complete the digestion of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, the intestine receives secretions from liver and pancreas. So, liver secretes bile juice, which is stored in the gallbladder. This bile helps in making the medium of food alkaline. Bile also emulsifies fats for them to be digested further. Now, since the food coming from the stomach is acidic in nature because of HCl, the bile helps in making it alkaline. The bile also emulsifies fats, which technically means that it is trying to churn it so that it mixes with the food so that the next enzyme can act upon. Pancreas secrete pancreatic juice that contains trypsin, which digests protein, and lipase, which digests emulsified fats. So, for trypsin to act, we need the medium to be alkaline, which bile helps with. And for lipase to act, we need the fats to be emulsified, which is done by the bile juice. Now, once this is completed, the intestinal juice converts these carbohydrates into glucose, proteins to amino acids, fats to fatty acids, and glycerol. So, the small intestine then absorbs the digested glucose, amino acids, glycerol, and fatty acids using finger-like structure that is present in the inner lining of the small intestine called villi. Now, why do we have villi? Villi help in increasing the surface area of absorption, and they are also richly supplied with blood vessels which take the digestive food to every cell of the body. The length of the small intestine differs in different organisms based on what they eat. Herbivores which eat plants have longer intestine as cellulose takes longer to digest, and meat eating carnivores have shorter gut as it is easier to digest. The remaining unabsorbed food is sent to the large intestine where mainly water absorption takes place. So, what happens when you have a diarrhea is basically you have lost the capability of absorbing water in the large intestine. Now, the remaining material after water absorption is secreted out as feces through the anus, which is regulated by an anal sphincter. Let us try to now answer questions related to human body nutrition. Which enzyme is released in the stomach and what does it digest? The right answer is pepsin is released in the stomach and it helps digest protein. Second question. The bile juice secreted by the liver helps in making the medium alkaline and also for emulsifying fats. Third, Now, by the end of the digestion, proteins, carbohydrates, and fats are converted to proteins become amino acids, carbohydrates becomes glucose, and fats become fatty acids and glycerol.
Thank you for watching till the end of the video. Hope you have understood the concept and scored well in your quiz. Like and share this video. Comment on this video on what would you like to watch next. Subscribe to the channel and tap the bell icon for more such videos. You can also connect with us on WhatsApp and Instagram from the link in the description, where you can find MCQ questions, detailed notes, and everything else to help you with your 10th board journey.